Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to another GTA discussion video where we're going to be talking about the XA-21. So I'm sure most people know at this point, but for those who don't, the Ocelot XA-21 is going to be a car released at some point. It's from the Gunrunning DLC. It was introduced into the game with the Gunrunning DLC, but because of Rockstar's drip feeding and taking ages to release every single vehicle, we still don't have it, and a lot of people are wondering how it's going to perform. Well, I'm going to try and mostly answer that question today. But the thing is that what Rockstar like to do is release a very quick car and then a month or two later release an even quicker car. They've done it in the past, for example with the Osiris, and then a month later they released the T20, which was quicker. They did it with the X80 Proto, and then a few months later they released the RE7B. They do like to do this specifically with the supercars class, where they can charge a lot of money for these cars, and ultimately if they make them the quickest car, they have one car that's initially released that a lot of people buy, and then they have to go out a month later and buy an even quicker car that is usually more expensive. And the reason that they do that should be obvious by now, but it's to reduce the amount of money in the game, make people waste their money as much as possible, because ultimately that drives the sales of shark cards, and that's what they're all about. But with the drip feeding that we've been seeing from the Gunrunning DLC, which is worse than it ever has been before, the XA-21 is still one of those cars that everybody knows about, because everybody who has access to the game on PC has modded it in and tried it out. But we're still waiting for it. And this week in particular, there is a 25% sale on the Wagner, which was the latest vehicle that we got from the Gunrunning DLC. A lot of people are wondering whether to buy the Wagner, because it is a very, very good vehicle. It's a very good all-rounder. Not quite as good of an all-rounder as the Nero Custom, but certainly right up there. So people are wondering, should I buy the Wagner with 25% off and what is a relatively reasonably priced vehicle in the first place, or should I be not spending my money and save it for the XA-21? Well, we're going to try and answer that question today, because ultimately I don't want you to waste your money on this game. I don't support Rockstar doing these methods and this drip feeding, so I want you to make sure that you're spending your money wisely. So we're going to get onto that in a second with regards to the testing of the XA-21. But when it comes to the time that you can expect to see the XA-21 in the game, my personal educated guess is the 22nd of August. It's going to be the last car that's released from the Gunrunning DLC, because that's just how they want to do it. The Wagner was one of the first to be released. It's a very, very quick supercar, and then they release everything else in between, and then they have the most expensive supercar, could very well be the quickest supercar in the game, released right at the end. So you've spent all your money on all of these vehicles in between, and then you have to shell out for the XA-21. And this works to drive the shark card sales. They know that it works, that's why they do it. So let's try and cut that down a little bit, and if we can make a little bit of a dent in that, then it's good, because I don't support those kind of business decisions for the game personally. I would rather they just released everything all at once, but we're never going to get those good days back again from this game. So the XA-21, could this be a very, very good car? It is an Ocelot, so based on previous experience, when you look at something like the Lynx, which is very, very expensive in the sports class, but very, very poor in terms of performance, you might be forgiven for thinking that the new Ocelot, the XA-21, isn't going to be all that good. It is going to be very expensive. It's going to be well over $2 million to buy, but is it going to be any good? Well, I've gone and tested it on PC. Now, I'm not going to give any specific lap times or top speeds. I'm going to talk a little bit more vague about its general performance based on the testing that I've done, because the testing can't be compared to what I do on PS4 100%, and I prefer not to put lap times out there just in case, because the proper testing will obviously come when the vehicle is released on that day, on that Tuesday, probably going to be the 22nd. Like I said, I will be on PS4 testing the vehicle, get the video up as soon as possible, and those will be the official lap times. But from the testing that I've done on PC, it does seem like a very, very good car. It seems like it could be certainly top 5 in the supercars class around a track, if not top 1. It could very well be the new best car in the class around my testing track. However, The thing to keep in mind with the XA-21 is that its top speed really isn't that good. It's pretty much, if you look at what the Tempesta is in the game, the XA-21 is pretty much a Tempesta. It's the same sort of thing. It's very, very good acceleration, good around the corners, so it's going to be good around, you know, those short tracks like my testing track where it's corner and then the straight and it needs acceleration zones. But as soon as it comes to a track that has a lot of long straights, or for example stunt races, which are a very popular thing now, the XA-21 is really going to suffer. So its top speed is nowhere near good enough in comparison to the Nero Custom, the Italy GTB Custom, the Wagner. The Wagner is obviously the most recent vehicle supercar from the gun running update. That has a very, very good top speed, very competitive. And the XA-21's top speed is certainly nowhere near as good as that. So like I say, when it comes to these stunt races and when it comes to any track that is a little bit more focused on top speed than it is cornering or acceleration zones, the XA-21 is going to suffer. But it is still going to be a very, very quick car. It's, like I said, it's basically another Tempesta in terms of the fact that it's not too bad around the corners, it's good acceleration, but it doesn't have the greatest top speed in the world. Its top speed looks to be on the same sort of level as the Tempesta, the T20, the Zentorno, the Osiris, all around that area. That's where the XA-21 seems to fall. So it's more like an old style supercar than it is one of the newer style supercars. The newer style supercars tend to have relatively good traction, not too bad acceleration, but a very, very good top speed. Things like the Nero Custom, like I said, the X80 Proto, the Wagner, the Italy GTB, they're more focused towards top speed and they hold it all together with enough traction and acceleration. Whereas the XA-21 seems to be more like the old style of supercars, like I mentioned, the T20 and the Osiris, that they don't have the greatest top speed, but they stitch it up all together by having really good traction and good acceleration. So that's what you need to keep in mind if you're thinking about whether you want to wait for the XA-21. Obviously, you know, looks and all that kind of stuff is entirely up to you, but when it comes purely to performance, that's what you need to be keeping in mind. Is it going to be something that you want to use all the time for all races? You know, if you're only going to be buying one supercar, for example, or you're very low on funds, personally, I wouldn't recommend an XA-21. You're better off buying the Nero Custom, which is still, in my opinion, the best all-rounder in the entire game. You can use it for every kind of race, whether it's a short race like my testing track, or on long stunt races or long highway races. You can use the Nero Custom for everything. The Wagner is a close second in terms of all-round vehicles. It's got the good top speed, it's got really good traction. It doesn't have the best acceleration in comparison to a Nero Custom because of its rear wheel drive, but it's still a very, very good all-rounder, just not quite up there with the Nero Custom for more small reasons. And then the same for the X80 Proto. That's a little bit further off when it comes to an all-rounder because it is a lot more expensive, a lot harder to drive, and it's very, very light as well, similar to the Wagner. So in contact formats, you're not going to do too well if you get hit by, say for example, a Nero Custom, which is one of the heaviest. But you know, those are your three main all-round vehicles. If you're wondering about whether to take advantage of the 25% off on the Wagner and you don't have an X80 or a Nero Custom, then by all means I think a Wagner is a good option for an all-rounder if you're worried about your money. If you're not worried about money, then you probably don't need to be listening to me in the first place. You can just buy anything that you want. But the XA-21 isn't something that I would consider getting rid of other vehicles for. Even if it turns out to be the quickest vehicle in the game around my testing track, it's not the sort of thing that I would be, and I'll be mentioning this in the specific video as well, so hopefully people will actually listen to the commentary instead of just going out and buying it regardless. But obviously we see the top speed for it as well in the two testing videos. It's not the sort of thing that I would be recommending people sell a car to then replace it with the XA-21. It can be a good alternative. It will be, you know, the quickest or close to the quickest in some circumstances, but it's not going to be doing you well in every single situation like you get from some of the other all-round vehicles that we have in the supercars class. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say in this video, because I hate this whole drip feeding thing. It's getting worse and worse when it comes to Rockstar DLCs. I'm going to talk about it more in the gun running DLC discussion, which, you know, it's been what, 2 months now almost since the gun running DLC has been out, and we still haven't done a discussion video about it because we're still waiting for all the content to be released from it. So you know, I hate the way that they do that, and it's obviously it's all to drive shark cards. It's clearly all monetary related, but it's important for me, I feel, to make a video like this to inform people better about what is to come, so that you can make better buying decisions now, rather than, you know, spend all your money on something and then regret it later on, or wish you'd taken advantage of, say, 25% off on the Wagner, and you didn't do it, and you're not saving as much money as you could. So that's all I'm trying to do with this video. Hopefully it has helped. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about everything that I've mentioned in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.